quick brief introduction, then we'll start. Okay. Now? Okay. All right. Welcome to our skit about anti-mediated antibodies and their immune response in the immune system of most prokaryotes. Today, our skit is based off the movie Mean Girls, which is a very popular movie back like 10 years ago. And for our we have our star role being filled by Josh Kim playing as Caddy in the movie. And I hope you enjoy our skit.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Katie and I'm the new transfer student.
It's Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Hi. Hey, new girl from South Africa. Please let us engulf you into our super exclusive group.
Okay, I'll totally join your group. I just want everyone to like me and all I care about is popularity.
New kid, give me your ID.
Ah! No!
Give me it right now.